Well, I just want to say thank you. You definitely activated my thinking skills. Right before your presentation, we had physical nourishment. You were definitely, for me personally, intellectual nourishment. It was like the best dessert. So I'm so appreciative, sincerely. You just had me thinking about a few things. So as my thinking skills were activated, I'm wondering about this notion of technical practice as a default practice. That's actually a deviation away from what real effective teaching is. I'm considering this notion of destabilizing subjectivity, and the answer is no. And we resist the no because the no means we're vulnerable, and we've all been duped into thinking that no is not what we can say, and it's not a part of teaching and learning.
That's a good point.
Say that again.
Yeah, say that again.
Yeah, say that again.
I'm gonna write that.
No, say it again so it can go into my brain.
I'm considering this notion of destabilizing subjectivity, and the answer is no, because no has been wrapped into most of our brains as this thing of vulnerability, and teachers are told we can't be vulnerable. So if I can't be vulnerable, that means I need to always be right. And if anything that goes away from me being right surfaces, I have to reject it without even considering it. So she has me considering that as a coach and as an educator, this destabilizing subjectivity that we all interface with but reject it kind of by default. In that I'm telling myself that that's a deviation from what effective teaching is. So I need to embrace it instead of rejecting it.
The whole come alongside.
Right. Then I'm digging deeper into the juxtapositions that you kind of presented to us today. And one of them was this learning as psychological phenom versus learning as relationship and connectedness, which is something that I hold near and dear. I think it's the basis of all learning and attachment and bonding. Right. How we become positive, effective citizens. I'm frustrated with this continued notion of inequity for too many versus this entitled child. I will personally create new and exemplary dialogues for action regarding all of this anytime I can. I'm encouraged about this notion of this consistent curriculum. I think I interface with too much inconsistent curriculum. Lastly, this notion of listening and meaning. For me, I'm considering as a coach how I would begin to listen to teachers more. I believe that parallel process of if I expect teachers to listen, they've got to be listened to. So I want to slow down as much as possible to begin to listen with my ears and my eyes for all of them, and possibly create learning stories as a coach.
Yes, great idea.
Then back to this notion of vulnerability, I'm almost finished. This identity, your identities in the dialogue, for me that vulnerability came up again, and the ambiguity that exists for teachers around that, around not having to answer and what the end should be, embracing that as difficult as it can be. And lastly, thank you for kind of juxtaposing the false dichotomy about play and work. Because it's really all engagement when they get married and they function together. It's about engagement. In this other false dichotomy of risk and play, I think they go together. And the two becoming one reminds me of this whole notion of breathing and existing together. So thank you so much. You fed me well today.
Sorry.